5. The borderless field of pure sensitivity. The imaginary separate self is made of the belief that our essential nature of pure awareness shares the limits and the destiny of the body and mind. And this belief has its counterpart in the body, where it is substantiated as me feelings. In fact, the feeling of being a separate self is by far the larger part of the sense of separation. Many of us have a clear intellectual understanding of the non-dual perspective. We may know from genuine experience that what we essentially are is the open, empty, unlimited space of awareness, and yet still feel that we walked into a room and are sitting on a chair. While it is perfectly obvious to us that awareness didn't walk into a room and is not sitting on a chair, nevertheless, we still feel that we are located in and as a body that is sitting on a chair. In other words, there is a discrepancy between what we understand and what we feel. These feelings of separation last much longer than our beliefs. For instance, in a relationship, a conflict may arise, which, although subsequently resolved, may leave a residue of tensions in the body, which takes some time to dissipate. Over the years, a network of tensions and contractions have been laid down in the body in this way. Long after their apparent cause has been forgotten, this network remains alive as a sort of memory or echo in the body, laid down layer upon layer, mimicking the presence of a separate self that supposedly lives there. So in this approach, we make a very deep exploration of the body, during which it is gradually and effortlessly washed clean of these residues of separation. These residues are exposed and explored, and as a natural and inevitable consequence of this exploration, they gradually dissolve. In other words, we learn to feel the body in a way that is consistent with our understanding. The experiential understanding that our essential nature of pure awareness is ever present and unlimited is just the first stage. If this understanding is not taken into the way we feel, act, perceive, and relate, then it cannot really be called true understanding. So, in this approach, we explore not just the way we think, but the way we feel. And not just the way we feel, but the way we perceive, act, and relate. In other words, the body and the world, not just the mind, are gradually colonized by our understanding. Go now to the experience of the body. And I suggest, at least to begin with, that we keep our eyes closed. Take some time to make sure we are referring only to the actual experience of the body. If our eyes are closed, our only experience of the body is the current sensation. By sensation, I mean, for instance, the tingling vibration of your hands or feet, a toothache, the experience of hunger, and the tingling vibration called my face are all sensations. Go now to the experience called my hands. Our only experience of the hands, if our eyes are closed, is a sensation. However, just to be sure that we are referring only to a sensation, take first the idea of your hands. They are of a certain size, color, shape, and have 4 fingers and a thumb, etc. And now compare the current sensation with that idea. Make a very clear distinction between the two. And now take the image of your hands and make a clear distinction between the image of them and your actual current direct experience of them. So we have the thought, the image, and the sensation of the hands. The hands themselves are obviously not a thought or an image. A thought about or an image of our hands are obviously not the hands themselves. So just put these two, the thought and the image, on one side, and don't refer to them again. Go back to the raw sensation called my hands. In fact, I am referring to this sensation as hands, but without reference to thought or memory. We have no idea that the current sensation is something called my hands. In just the same way that an infant has no idea that the amorphous, tingling sensation it feels is something that thought will later conceptualize as my body. Imagine that you are a newborn baby, made of pure sensitivity, and experience the current appearance of the body like that, without reference to an idea, image, or memory. We do not know that the current sensation is a body. Just experience the raw sensation. That's actually what we are experiencing all the time. But thought adds a label to this sensation. In fact, we do not even know that it is something called a sensation. It is just raw, unnameable, indivisible, intimate experience. How old is the current sensation? Does it have an age? Is it 20, 40, 60, 80 years old? Does it have a gender? Don't ask thought what it thinks. Go to your actual experience. Does the current sensation have a nationality? What shape is the current sensation? Does it have a clearly defined shape? If we were to draw this sensation on a piece of paper, in order to show somebody who had never experienced it what it looked like, what kind of shape would our drawing take? What kind of marks would we make in order to represent this sensation as accurately as possible? Start by trying to find an edge to this sensation. Really stay very close and intimate with your experience. Can we find an edge anywhere in our actual experience? Are there any lines in our drawing? Or is it a cluster of dots, more or less dense, floating on the white page? Like the Milky Way, floating in the empty sky. Without reference to memory or thought, does the sensation have a weight? Go to the experience that seems to be evidence of weight, and see that that experience itself is a sensation. How much does that sensation weigh? What is supporting this sensation? See how quickly thought wants to say a chair or the floor. But with our eyes closed, we have no experience of a chair or a floor. Rather, our only experience of a so-called chair or floor is itself a sensation. What is supporting that sensation? In what, or on what, is that sensation appearing? Every appearance must have some kind of support or background. The words of a novel cannot appear without a page. An email cannot appear without a screen. A table cannot appear without a space. A sensation cannot appear without what? See that this sensation is appearing in the same open, empty space of awareness in which our thoughts appear. The sensation is floating weightlessly in this space. The sensation itself has no shape. It has no weight. It is not suspended in a physical space. With our eyes closed, we have no experience of physical space. It is a knowing space, a dimensionless knowing space. Does this sensation have a size? See that without reference to memory, ideas, or images, in other words, without reference to the past, we have no way of knowing how large the current sensation is. We have no way of knowing if it is 2 millimeters wide or 2 meters wide. In fact, we have no experience of size or dimension. Now go to the inside of this sensation and feel that you are swimming around inside it. Do this with your feeling imagination, not with thought. How solid is it inside the sensation? Does it have a density? When we enter it, do we cross a threshold and enter a new substance? If we were a sculptor and we had to represent this sensation in form, and we were free to choose whatever material we wanted to best represent it, what would we choose? Stone, metal, wood, plastic, cloth, water, air, sound, light? Try to select a material that represents as accurately as possible the quality of the substance out of which the sensation is made. Take each material in turn and measure its quality against the actual experience of the sensation itself. And having selected your material, go ahead and make a sculpture in your imagination that represents as accurately as possible your direct experience of the current sensation. What does your sculpture look like? What is the relationship between this sensation and the aware or knowing space in which it appears? Can we, in fact, differentiate these two? One, the sensation, and two, the aware or knowing space in which it appears and with which it is known. Be very specific. See clearly, in our experience, that we cannot find these two elements. The sensation itself is pervaded by, saturated with the knowing of it. Looking for two separate elements, a sensation and awareness, is like looking for two separate things, one called an email and another called a screen. It is not even true to say that the email is pervaded by the screen. There is no such thing as an email that exists as an object in its own right, pervaded by the screen. There is just the screen, taking the temporary name and form of the email. Likewise, we can't legitimately say that the sensation itself is pervaded by awareness. We never experience an independent object called a sensation. that is pervaded by something else called awareness. Nor can we legitimately say that the sensation is one with awareness, just as we cannot legitimately say the email is one with the screen. There are not two things present in our experience to begin with, to be separate from, pervaded by, or one with one another. See, in this way, that the sensation is not just appearing in and known by the open empty space of awareness. It is made of it. From the conventional point of view, we believe that our essential nature of pure awareness is made out of the body. The apparently separate self is created with that belief. In understanding, we realize that the body is made out of awareness. This is not an extraordinary new experience that happens to a few people. It is actually what we are all experiencing all the time. However, the intimacy of our experience has been so distorted by thought that we have come to believe, and more importantly, feel, that what we essentially are is made out of something solid and dense. In fact, it's the other way round. The body is made out of a substance that is transparent, weightless, empty, and knowing or aware. The belief in being a separate self finds its counterpart in the feeling that our essential nature is something solid, dense, located, of a particular age and gender, moving around in time and space. This feeling of density, solidity, and locality substantiates and validates the belief in being a separate self. Thus this belief and feeling mutually support one another, and in doing so are responsible for the complexity and thus the tenacity of the apparently temporary and limited self around whom most of our lives revolve. In these meditations, we explore the body as it is really experienced, and in doing so, liberate it from the tyranny of a non-existent, separate self. We allow the body to gradually return to its natural, organic state of openness, transparency, and sensitivity. We learn to feel and move the body in a way that is consistent with our understanding. The well-defined borders or contours that seem to separate the body from others and the environment are seen and experienced to be non-existent. We feel that the body is made out of permeable space, in direct contact with everyone and everything, no longer sealed up as a clearly defined, impervious container. The borders between ourself and the object, other, or world dissolve until we can no longer locate ourselves as someone, somewhere. We know and feel ourself as unlocatable, transparent knowing, which intimately pervades the entirety of our experience. Whatever appears in the field of experience appears in our self. We are that dimensionless field. We know ourself as the borderless field of pure sensitivity and receptivity, tasting intimately every experience as a modulation of our own aware being. When our eyes fall, for instance, on an object, we become that object. We know it from the inside out. We sense the feeling understanding with which it was made. We know what has gone into the making of it. There is no obstruction to this pure sensitivity. Thank you.